What's going on, everybody? It looks like our first red day this week. Looking at the miners across the board, they're basically all red as of this upload, and that's okay because they've been running a lot lately. Bitcoin has been recovering. These pullbacks do come along. And one thing I noticed, of all the Bitcoin miners, funny enough, Sphere 3D is one of the least red, and recently it has been running a lot. Typically on a red day like this, Sphere 3D is one of the worst. It is the highest risk miner. It is the smallest market cap miner at like $25 million market cap, while others are in the billions in some cases. I do think Sphere 3D is starting to gain a little favor. It just seems lately that the green days have been even better, the red days have been less severe, and Wall Street might be changing its tune with it. But for those of you asking, should I buy the Bitcoin miners yesterday, the day before when they were pumping? Here's a good day to start. Now, for those of you that watched my last video, I mentioned this Bitcoin mining article, and it was saying how they're in dire straits, this, that, and the other thing. Check that last video so you know what I'm talking about. It'll be at the end screen. But we've got another badly worded article, in my opinion. Bye-bye Bitcoin, hello AI. Texas miners leave crypto for the next new wave. Who's leaving crypto? And they cite Lancium. I remember CleanSpark and Lancium had some sort of deal that was going to go on. I don't remember, but Lancium's a very familiar name. Let me know if you guys remember Lancium. Houston-based tech company Lancium and Denver-based Crusoe Energy Systems announced on Thursday a multi-billion-dollar deal to build a 200-megawatt data center just outside of Abilene, Texas, that's designed to meet the unique needs of AI companies. It is the first phase of a larger 1.2 gigawatt build-out. Lancium's president says to CNBC that this would be one of the largest AI data centers campuses in the world. And this article says, in the latest example, that the race to power AI and leave Bitcoin mining behind is accelerating. I think what they're referring to is the fact that a lot of these Bitcoin miners are getting into AI. They are not leaving Bitcoin mining behind. They're not deciding to just wrap it up there and close up shop. They are expanding into AI when they could be expanding into more Bitcoin mining. So I'll give this article that point at least. What I do tend to agree with, or at least don't disagree with, is miners need to diversify. Following the Bitcoin halving in April, an event that happens once every 4 years, the business is generating new tokens. It's become much less profitable, and that is true. Many of these miners actually went from being profitable for the first time this cycle to unprofitable. So for them to say it's become much less profitable, the reality is the last 2 quarters were the only profitable quarters at all because of Bitcoin's huge price increase. Last cycle, we didn't see this until the very end, until the end of 2021. And I quote here, some operators are feeling the financial pinch from the recent block reward halving, which cut industry revenues in half, and are actively exploring exit strategies. Is AI an exit strategy, or is it a diversification strategy? I think the latter. We know BTBT is getting into AI, and it is shaping out to be the large portion of the business there. Iren is getting into AI. There are others getting into AI, but this doesn't necessarily mean that they're just done with Bitcoin mining and they're giving it up. And if you think about it, for those that do give it up, it means the ones that are still going get less difficulty levels. It makes it more profitable for those that stay. So perhaps the weakest, the most unprofitable do eventually leave. But I just swear to God, these articles drive me crazy. They're acting as if all these Bitcoin miners are just in an exodus and all leaving Bitcoin mining, and that is just simply not the case. I was going to go over to the next thing, but I just noticed Bit Digital, a Bitcoin miner that now derives an estimated 27% of its revenue from AI, said in June that it entered into an agreement with a customer to supply NVIDIA GPUs over 3 years at a data center in Iceland, in a deal that's expected to generate $92 million in annualized revenue. As a side note, their goal is getting to $100 million annualized, and they're already so close. But this is a very long article. There's a lot to read here. If you want to check it out, feel free. It'll be down below in the description. It is an interesting read. I don't agree with the title. I do not think Bitcoin miners are exiting Bitcoin. And like I said in my previous video, a Bitcoin here at this price is much better than a Bitcoin pre-halving at 15K. Speaking of a Bitcoin at 15K, guys, do you remember those days? Do you remember how long it lasted? Do you remember how tough it was? Sometimes in the market, you got to look at it like no pain, no gain. You have to buy the fear. Sometimes your account will go down in the meantime. But if you're buying the right assets, if you're buying the right stocks, if you're buying companies you believe in long term, companies that are proving their success long term, you take advantage of the dark days. You take advantage of when everyone else is fearful. Everyone else is saying, why would you buy here? It's going to 10K. It's going to 5K. In hindsight, even buying at 20K, 30K wasn't a bad decision. I'm sure many of you were here last cycle back in 2021 when we were coming down from the 60,000s down to 40,000, down into the 30s. At some point, many of us did decide to start buying. Many of us saw it coming down and said, hey, you know what? I'll take the risk here. I'll buy some Bitcoin at 45K. I'll buy some Bitcoin at 40K, 50K, 55K. In hindsight, even buying as we were dropping, even buying as we were approaching the bear market, you're still up. And it only took a few years, you know. In the worst case for Bitcoin, you just gotta wait a few years. If you even did buy the top, you just gotta wait a little while. Now, in my opinion, the 15,000 days, the 20,000 days, possibly the 30,000 days and 40,000 days, these are done. You'll never see Bitcoin at that price again. Whales will scoop it up if it gets anywhere near those levels. And think about this, you know, say we're in the year 2025, Bitcoin's 150, 200K, maybe only 100K. We get into a bear market, you know, what's the worst that happens? From 100K, 150K, you know, a 60% correction won't get us down to 30K. And to me, even buying here, you know, when you look into the next bear market, how much lower are we going to be from here? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Where do you think Bitcoin's going to be in the next bear market? Are we going to be at 50K next bear market? Is Bitcoin going to rally over the rest of 2024 and 2025, and in the next bear market our low is like 100K? Curious what you guys think there. And the crazy thing is, you know, if you zoom out like 5 years, only 5 years, you'll see that Bitcoin was $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. We had the 2016 halving, it rallied to like nearly 20,000, and then it pulled back to about 3,000. Fast forward to the next cycle, our bottom was 15K. We never saw the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 under 10K again. So zoom out and realize Bitcoin will appreciate in general over the long term. Bitcoin will overall go up and to the right, up and to the right. It is like digital real estate. There's only so much of it, just like on the earth, there's only so much land, there's only so much building you can do. And thanks to inflation, hard assets like Bitcoin, hard assets like real estate all go up over time. Now, what do I expect Bitcoin to do here? Well, I expect us to follow this general pattern. And if we pull back, that's okay. If we come down all the way to 60K, that's all right. This pattern won't be invalidated. We could be still continuing this ascending channel, even with retail getting scared, even with people worried saying, oh, Bitcoin's coming back down at 60K soon, it'll be 50K. Don't fall for it. Of course, maybe we break the structure, and 50K, of course, is a possibility. But if this pattern plays out, 50K isn't going to happen. We're going to ride the support and continue higher. We just got out of a downtrend. We started creating new higher highs. We've been creating new higher lows. However, we just got out of a bearish divergence. You saw lower highs on the RSI, higher highs on the chart. And we are starting to pull back potentially from that. And we've been getting bearish divergences across a lot of the Bitcoin miners too. Iren is one I want to feature. We did see a bearish divergence. Price is going higher. RSI is going lower. I have 3 major zones I'm watching for. I'm watching for 10. It was a previous level of resistance, and we did bounce off of it and absolutely rallied. It's trying to pop on that 10. You can see it's trying to scoop up every time we get to 10. I think 10 is an okay time to add. If you're going to be extra patient, I think 8 would be a great time. If you want to be extremely patient and are okay with potentially missing it, I think 6 would be a great level to add. If you follow the chart, we have always ripped, came back down, and bounced off this ascending support line. Maybe this time we don't. Maybe this time we use a previous resistance as support. That's why it probably wouldn't be terrible to buy at 8. Wouldn't be terrible to start slowly scaling in around 10. In my opinion, iren is going to be much higher in price by the end of the year. And here's something that's really interesting. Iren is actually expected to post a profit this quarter, while pretty much the vast majority are not. And they are also expecting growth in revenue, while basically everybody is not. Iren very recently has been getting a lot of favor. It's been getting so much hype. Seems like a month ago or so it was down here in the 4s and 5s. And that's because a little over a month ago it was. And just look at this beautiful pattern we broke out of. You see this clear pattern, and once we broke out, market just went crazy on it. That's why it's important to watch these patterns. The longer the pattern, typically the bigger the breakout. And I've got another one for you. You'll see this. We broke structure. We rode this level on support many times. We got a little too far away. We came back, retraced, and we bounced on it again. However, we had this kind of a double top, this bearish divergence, this resistance on our ascending, broadening pattern here. And we started pulling back. We also broke this trend line. Perhaps we continue falling down a bit. I am bullish on iren on the long term. I do believe it's good to take advantage of these pullbacks on the miners right now. If you want to play the rest of this cycle, these are some of the last opportunities to buy in my opinion. Maybe we get lucky and they go a bit lower, but I do think now's the time to take advantage. Now, we do have some news that Jamie Dimon is potentially bullish on Bitcoin. We know that his company, JP Morgan, is bullish on Bitcoin. They offer Bitcoin to their most wealthy clients. And we heard about this back in 2021. This was kind of near the end of the bull market when these announcements were being made. People were getting kind of excited about Bitcoin again, but we still hit the inevitable bear market. But I'll leave this article for you. It basically says that Trump was talking to Jamie Dimon. He says, and I quote, "If you ask Jamie Dimon was, very negative, and now all of a sudden he's changed his tune a little bit. In 2017, Dimon called Bitcoin a fraud. Many times he said it's basically a Ponzi. He said he wouldn't buy any. Funny enough, he offers it to his clients, however. And then he sort of changed his tune, said later that he would defend the right to buy and hold Bitcoin, showing that he has a softening stance. It's funny, it's these executives saying one thing while their company's doing another. But people are realizing he's looking more and more like a fraud the more time this goes on, and he is changing his stance, along with many others. To me, him and Peter Schiff are probably two of like the biggest Bitcoin bears out there, I'd say. But let me know if another one comes to mind for you. Now, I do want to talk about ETH briefly here, and we do have an article to go over, but we have a similarity, more bearish divergences. You'll see that the RSI was actually dropping here. From here to there, I'll just make it easy on everybody. Right there. And what happened to the chart? The chart was actually rising right here from this point here to this point here. See, RSI, bearish divergence. The positive here is Ethereum is still following its support line. We're going to come down and test it. If we break it, we are likely to see some lower levels, and that would be wonderful. You got to realize, if you're bullish on the long term, you got to invite lower prices. You have to welcome lower prices. It allows you to buy more of your favorite crypto, more of your favorite stocks at a discount. It is definitely difficult to have that kind of a psychology change, though. Most people see red and they get pissed off, they want to sell. If it's something you believe in, you want to be happy on those red days. You want to be a bit disappointed on those green days. If you change your stance like that, it will change your emotions dramatically. You won't get as emotional on the green days, and you won't get as emotional on the red days. But Ethereum has been trending higher. It's been outperforming Bitcoin as of recently. I think there's a lot to do with the spot Bitcoin. I think there's a lot to do with the spot Ethereum ETFs. And I do suspect, if we can break 3,500, almost said 35K, that'd be amazing. If we could break 3,500, I do think we're going to see a nice breakout for ETH. It has been a resistance for a few points. We have been out of it before, but we were starting to just kind of, lose some momentum, lose some traction, and it became a resistance here. So hopefully we can see it actually break back over. It has been playing out as a resistance, however, still. Now, here's an article about the Bitwise CIO, Matt Hogan. But anyways, Matt H. says there are 3 reasons why Ether ETFs could drive the price of the asset more than Bitcoin ETFs did for Bitcoin. And he gave 3 reasons why he thinks this is. For one, Ether's inflation rate effectively amounts to 0 at some times, given the widespread usage of Ethereum-based apps compared to the small amount of ETH created daily. So at times the ETH burn makes up for the ETH issuance, but it does range around at times. Also, Bitcoin miners are forced to sell Bitcoin to maintain operations due to it being expensive. In contrast, those staking ETH do not have significant direct costs. But what to realize here, if all the Bitcoin miners were holding Bitcoin, there would be essentially like the newly issued Bitcoin wouldn't be in the market. Another reason is that approximately 1/3 of all ETH, 28%, is staked and locked away. 28% is staked, meaning it is effectively off the market. I mean, yeah, unless those people want to sell. But these things, I admit these things can contribute to ETH outperforming. ETH doesn't have ETH miners that are potentially going to sell when ETH is pulling back or during times that they want more money. Also, at times, ETH is deflationary. So that is one point against Bitcoin. And the fact that a lot of ETH is staked away, locked away, that's another positive. But I feel like people would see Bitcoin more as a long-term hold than they would Ethereum. In the end, Ethereum is an altcoin. But let me know what your take on Ethereum is. Are you holding Ethereum similarly to Bitcoin? Do you kind of take advantage of the rips and dips? Is it another altcoin that you're going to sell in alt season? I personally think there's a big possibility that the ETH spot ETFs can outperform Bitcoin. ETH is a much smaller market cap, but then again, maybe Wall Street wants little to do with ETH and wants more to do with Bitcoin. Wall Street still is just warming up to the idea. But make no mistake, this will bring increased buying pressure to Ethereum overall. This is a huge net positive, just like the spot Bitcoin ETFs are a net positive if you're looking at the short term. But that is a whole nother topic for another video. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Let me know what miners you are picking up today. I do think today's a great day to do so. And to me, days like this will be few and far between as we continue on with the bull market. Soon we'll be looking back and 100K is the next 50K and so on. Some of these new Bitcoin highs will in the future be bear market lows. Thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.